Okay, so for the next part of this, I'm going to step through the whole process of coloring the wheel. And I went ahead and I turned off my grids. I did a hide grid just so I could not look at all the lines on my screen anymore. And I'm also going to close out of my Pathfinder panel. And the first step is going to be to deselect the wheel and use your direct select tool so you can grab the objects that you need to grab and color them. So I actually, it looks like I have to divide this one more time. There we go. Okay, so first I am going to fill with black the outer rim of my wheel. Now you can put in 6 zeros as your hex code if you want. Okay, so there's my black. So let's take a look. It says our first step is going to be the primary color group in the center. So you'll see here that we need to open our color panel. So I am going to scoot this in just a little bit, go to Window, and choose Color. So here is our color panel. And then we have our color guide here. We have our swatches. All right, first step, I'm going to go to the color section. And you'll notice that it's on grayscale, and I am going to change it to CMYK. So CMYK is our print color mode. And the first thing we'll do is, it says select flyout menu. Hang on, I gotta widen this just a bit. Okay. I think we're good. So we've got that, and you'll notice that it looks a little bit wider here. Okay. To identify the color wheel sections. Okay, so we'll compare it to a clock. So we're going to start with yellow, and first we will deselect, use our direct selection, and choose here our first color. Now notice it went right back to grayscale again. So I'm going to turn it back on our CMYK. And then you'll also notice that there are some other options here. So you can go to show options, and that will give you the actual CMYK values right here. And for yellow, you can simply put a 100 in the CMYK value, and that will give you your primary color for yellow. Okay. And next, we are going to do the magenta. So we're going to click on our magenta position. So it is the fourth one over from that. We'll go over here to make sure we have CMYK. And here is our magenta, and we'll put in a 100 there. And then you will see also here is our blue. So we'll click this one. We'll go to CMYK, and here's cyan at the top, and we'll put a 100 in for the cyan. All right. Now we are going to start working with the swatch panel. So first it says open the swatch panel. So let's do that. It is right here. Okay. And it says select all of the colors that may be in your panel except the first 4 items shown. And then they want you to delete it. So they want you to literally delete all of the swatches so that you can start off with a nice clean swatch panel. So what I do is I click the first one and I hold shift and then I highlight them all, go to the trash, say yes, click on the next group, highlight them with shift, hit trash. And so I'm just kind of continuing through and I'm just clearing those out. Okay, that way we're starting with a brand new color panel without all those in the way. All right. Okay, so next we're going to, up here, going to go to new swatch. And you'll see that this matches up. So we're going to put in our 100. We're going to make sure there's nothing here. So 0, 0, 100, 0. And we'll hit OK. And there is our yellow. Now, unfortunately, it changed my blue because I was on the wrong triangle. I can always go back and change that later. Okay. So now it says continue on, and then we're going to add the other colors. We're going to add the magenta, and then we'll add the cyan. So here we go. So I'm going to click. You can also click new swatch down here. So I can click on new swatch, and notice how it automatically filled that in. So I hit OK, and then this one I'm going to have to fix. New swatch. I'll turn the yellow all the way off, turn the cyan all the way on, and then hit OK. And so now I've got my 3 swatches, and you'll notice that if something is selected and you click around on the swatch panel, it'll automatically change those colors. Okay. So here we go. So now what we'll do is we're going to make what's called a color group. So I'm going to highlight these 3 colors, and then I'm going to click on this little folder, and I'm going to call this primary because this is the primary color. So I'm basically just highlighting the colors that I made, clicking on the little folder, and naming it, this is my primary group. If you hover over the folder here, it'll tell you what the name is. Continuing on, now we're going to start working on the secondary and tertiary color groups. So we've got our primary, and we made our group. Here we go. So, no, I need to go a little bit farther. Okay, here we go. Now this is where we need to be. All right, here we are, secondary colors. So first we are going to, let's see, widen this just a bit. Okay, yep, we've got it all in here. So we've got our orange color, we've got our purple, and then we've got our green. So to add, we're going to do it just like we did before, where we are going to hit new swatch, and we're just going to go ahead and follow these settings. So for this orange, we need 0, 75, and 100. Hit OK. We need a new one, and this next one is 75, 100, 0, 0. And a new one again, 100, 0, and I'm just hitting tab through those to make it go a little bit faster. Okay, and now we just need to put those 3 in a new group. So we are going to we're going to highlight using shift, click the new folder, and we'll call this secondary. And that moves them now into their own group. Okay. So we need to continue through, and we have have a few more swatches to create. And you'll notice that these are our tertiary colors. So let's get started. So here, I'm just going to kind of put my deselect here so it doesn't end up in the same group, and pull this over here to the side just a little bit because I need to be able to see these settings. So we've got 100% yellow, 50% magenta. So I'm going to put in a 50, 0, or 100, and 0. So that is 100% yellow, 50%. This is the yellow-orange color. Okay, and I'm just going to keep on moving through. Okay, so I've got all my colors now, and this one doesn't look so good, so let's see what happened here just in case. So this one, we have a mistake here. You can see I needed 100% yellow, 50% cyan, and it got put into the black by accident. So I could see that that color just didn't look right. So let's see, we've got our orange-ish, reddish, purple, blue. Okay, I think it all looks good. So let's highlight them all. We'll click on the new folder, and we're going to call this tertiary. Okay, so now we've got our groups. I'm going to close out of that one because that was part 2. And now I'm going to download part 3. All right. So now we are going to finish up coloring in our color wheel. So first step is going to be to get the colors that I've placed inside here so that the rest of my groupings are the right color. So I'm going to move this over just a bit. So our secondary, so we've got to have, you've got, as you move through here, you've got the light orange, the darker, and then the more reddish. So here's your light orange, here is the darker, and there is the reddish. All right, and now we've got our lighter and our darker, and we've got our blue, lighter green, okay, so let's take a look, make sure our colors look accurate. And they look pretty good. Okay. Next step. So we've got our swatch panel open. Okay, we can see our swatch panel, and we're going to grab our primary colors first, and then we will go to what's called the color guide. The color guide will give us what's called tints and shades. So the center point here is the base. Okay, so that's this little arrow right here. So anything lighter is a tint, that's where you add white, and anything darker is a shade, and that's where you add black. So in order to get these, you know, they're kind of already there for you, so you don't have to worry about making new swatches, but it's nice because when we were here in our guide, let's go back to the way it used to look. when we were in this and we selected a grouping, what's really nice is that if you select a grouping and then you go to this, it'll add those only those to this grouping. So that's what makes it a little bit easier. Okay. So now the categories. So for this yellow, we are going to add, for the lightest color yellow, we're going to add the first one and then the third one, and then that's our shade. So this column right here is our shade. So it's going to be one darker than the primary yellow here. And then let's go back, take a look. So you can see we've got these two left. The lighter one is inside this one. So this is where all the lightest colors are going to go. And then this one here is going to be the second one in. So let's go back to this position. So this is our really light. Make sure that shaded it in. There you go. And this one is the third one in. Okay. So now this is going to work for all of them. So here is my magenta. So I'm going to go to my shade. This is my really light one. And then this is my third one. So I'm just going to continue on. So here's my shade. Here's my light one. And here is my medium. Okay, so now our groupings are done for that one. So I'm going to head back out to my swatches, grab my secondaries now, go back to my shades and tints, and we'll get started on these. So here is my, here's my base orange. Okay, that's this one. Let me widen this a little bit, and you'll see here that they're actually adding the groups inside of each individual one and creating new swatch groups. If you don't do that, that's okay. Okay, it's okay to just use them from this position. If you can keep them, straight, that's fine with me. I really, really just wanted you to have the initial groups here, primary, secondary, tertiary, so that you could load them here into this, all right? So now you kind of understand how to color these, and now we're going to work on the next one. Okay. So now we are going to do the last big set. I'm going to head back out here and click on this group. And we'll go to tints and shades. And so we are now down to filling in the remainder of our colors. Okay. So I'm going to widen this. I feel like we've kind of got the pattern by now. So I really just need to see the whole thing. So it's all front and center. So here there's the oranges first. So I'll do my light, I'll do my third one, and then I'll do my dark one. Okay, onto the red. Light, and then third one, and then my shade. Okay, onto the purple. So here is my light. Here is my third one. And there is my shade. And then blue, light, and then third one. Okay, there we go. Fully colored. Now, here's the part that I want to help you understand as far as the layout is concerned. So what you've got to do is you've got to get all of these pieces placed in this layout. Now, the trouble is, in order to make this perfect, we had to have that, all of these measurements be exact. But if you look at this, this is actually too big, and this is done poorly, and as far as design is concerned, on purpose, so that it requires you to change the design in a way where it looks really good. And there's no way to get an A on this without modifying this layout. So you'll see here, this is supposed to be the tints, this is supposed to be the shades. And the legend is in a place that makes no sense. So this really needs to be over here. And in fact, you could even use arrows to point to these words instead of having it look like this. So you can design it a little bit different. But before we do all of that, this is really too big. We need to size it down and probably slide it up to give us more room for these objects down here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this with my regular selection tool. I'm going to hold shift and I'm going to resize it down a bit and I'm going to slide it up here, because if it's in the upper third, that gives us far more room to lay out the bottom pieces. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab these items that I want to pull down here, and I'm going to select them with my direct select. So I'm going to click, hold shift, shift the whole time, select that whole thing. And remember, you can just do edit copy if you want, and then edit paste. And then you can pull this down, but it's still quite big, right? So you need to size it down. So it's just as, pieces down here, these are just too big. Okay, they need to be sized down so that there's room for better typography. So I did that. Now I'm going to grab these colors. So I'm going to get and you'll notice that it's still kind of part of the group here. So I may ungroup this and then only group that so that this stays together. I don't want these to be part of that group. So let me go ahead and get my direct select, deselect, click, shift. Okay, I'm going to copy. And if you want, you can right click down here and paste. And then we will grab this other tool to size it down. And then now we need a complementary set. Now, if it makes you happy to choose a different color set, you can certainly do that. So if you don't want, this just means monochromatic, right? So you could have grabbed any of those color sets. Here's the complementary set. So maybe you don't want it to be horizontal. Maybe you want it to be more vertical or something. So let's say I want this color with this color. Or maybe I want this blue with this orange, or maybe this pink. I think I'll do the pink. So I'm going to do the pink and the green, and I'm going to edit copy, and then I will paste. And then let me pull this over here, grab this other tool, and I will rotate it, because you can rotate these and kind of place them how you like. Make them a little smaller. Okay, so this is possible to change this around. Now, if you don't like this one, you can come in here and choose a different color set. Okay, so these are the colors I decided I wanted, and then I can rotate them in any position that makes sense as far as like how it, we want it to look kind of even. Like these just don't look even. So you don't have to do it just like I do. Okay, you can do it differently, even if you want to place them in different positions. you could maybe do that too. So, but the thing is that you need your alignment to be correct. So it's really nice when you pull down these guides and really get this aligned properly so that when, especially the font. So I'm gonna stop here for today, and then it's gonna be your job to get all of the text placed on here with your text boxes. And then I even encourage you to install a whole different font. So if I put, you know, my font on here, I call this color wheel, and get rid of this one. And with your alignment, remember you want all of these things to be perfectly centered. So I'm going to increase the size of this. And you'll notice here at the top, I can use my alignment buttons. This can be center aligned in the box, but you can also use this align panel to align it horizontally in the center of the paper. So I can, you don't want to do vertical because then it would jump down here, but you want it to be aligned in the center in this direction. Just like if I were to select this, I could also align this in the center. So now that is perfectly in the center, where before it was just an approximation. But let's go back to the idea of fonts. So if I click on this font and I come on in here and decide, you know, you get to decide what you like. Now be careful, if you want a fancy font like this, it would have to be really readable, and you wouldn't want to use that same font for the small text because that would be very difficult to read. But if you wanted to do something fun like this for the title, you certainly could, but be careful that, you know, you've given yourself enough room everywhere around here to fit all of those pieces in. So I'm going to leave you to it, and you are going to create your own well-designed color wheel.